Hi, I'm George Nordhaus, and welcome to Monday Morning. This is going to be kind of one of the first ones in a series we'll be having as time goes on here about personal lines. We're going to be talking commercial later too, but about personal lines and specific ways that you can not make those mistakes. And I am so lucky in the fact that I have Deborah Miller-Pfahler with me, and there she is. She is somebody I've been working with for many years. She's a personal lines professional, or somebody that really knows a lot in personal lines. She worked for a long, long time with State Farm Insurance Company, like 16 years or something. She was the number 2 person with the number 1 State Farm producer for many years, Cosmo Conti, and we'll be hearing from him too eventually, I hope. And he's retired now, but boy, the stuff that those two put together are just phenomenal. Then she became a consultant, and she consulted a lot to State Auto Insurance Company on all kinds of marketing programs. Then she began to develop more technical oriented programs. She had something called Relational Sales Pro, and you're going to be hearing a lot about that. And now she's got a whole new thing going, which I'll tell you a little bit about later as we go through this. And that's something called INA, that's Insurance Needs Analysis Connect, INA Connect. And she's the president of that organization. But let's go from there. Deborah, what's happening in personal lines in this crazy world?
Well, you're right about it being a crazy world. What's happening in personal lines? Well, I would say that if you ask any producer out there, they would tell you that they are faced with several things, one of which is the lack of time. Perhaps another thing is that everyone is shopping price, or at least they perceive that everyone is shopping price, and they have to shop around through all of their carriers to try and find the best price, so to speak, so they can retain those customers. And I guess my question really is that while these are challenging and it's very stress-provoking, is it really the truth?
Well, I think it is. Everything I see makes it the truth, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, perhaps it may not be entirely the truth. Perhaps they do have a lack of time, and it may be that their lack of time is because they are doing a great deal of quoting over the telephone. They may think that everybody is shopping price, and it may very well be that they are reacting to try and fit those prospects into or try and find a place to fit those prospects rather than focusing in on who they really want to focus on. And there may also be some incorrect perceptions about whether or not they are, in fact, only shopping price.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think everybody thinks it's price shopping, but there are people who are looking for other things. And you're right. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at what might be some facts that will help people think differently by the end of this presentation. First of all, as it would relate to personal lines, we know that our client is king. We know that everything really focuses around retention and profitability. But the one thing I think is very important is that a recent client retention survey indicated that 52% of those who are purchasing insurance really want relationship. They're not focused on price. There is a group out there, there's no question. However, the majority of individuals at this time, at this place in history, they really want relationship. They want somebody who's going to review their coverages. Of course, we know that they want one who has integrity and a stable business, but then they also want somebody who's going to help them understand their coverages and their policies. Mm-hmm. Now, another thing that is the truth is that studies are showing that if you spend $1 towards retaining clients, you actually are going to increase the profitability of your agency by $5 in comparison to acquiring new business. Another thing that's very important is that a 5% increase in client retention will actually bring profits to the agency somewhere between 25 and 125%. And the last thing I just want to state right now is that 65% of the clients who left an agency never talked to their agent. However, 80% of the clients who had some communication with their agent during the year decided to stay. So what we may see as price shopping may be all of these individuals that have left another agency because they were unhappy with the lack of communication, and therefore now price has become an issue.
Interesting.
So let me just show you something here. You know, everyone says, well, that's the way we've always done it, and it may be. But I have a interesting presentation here. Now, what I want to show you are 4 quadrants. These 4 quadrants actually are all tied together in one Excel sheet that I created. And what I did was I took numbers that would be what most individuals would say their average day looks like, and that's what you see right here. And then we're going to progress through 3 additional slides that actually are all being connected to the same values that are put into this first one. So what we're saying here is that this is one approach. The next is going to be a second approach, a third approach, and a fourth approach. And I want to show you some interesting statistics. Let me see if I can explain this for you. Okay, so an individual has a number of calls that come in every day or every week for quotes. And in this particular example, let's say that they have 30 call-in quotes a week. And let's say that it takes them 30 minutes each call. Some people will say, well, you know, with comparative raters, it may not take that long. But if you take time to develop your underwriting and to identify truly their needs, and you go through reviewing the coverages, then you take that information and you email it to them or you send it to them, chances are you are spending around 30 minutes per quote.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that the average price, or the premium, if you will, of that particular quote is $800, and that would be a year. And typically close ratio would be 30%. Commission rate might be 13%. And let's say last year this personal lines producer made $75,000, and the average retention on a monoline policy, which is what they're calling in about, is 82%. Let's take a look at how this impacts their return on investment for this time frame. What we have here, these factors in the top quadrant relate directly to the lower quadrant. So in this situation, they would have created $7,200 in written premium over a year. They would have earned $936 in commissions. They would have devoted 15 hours in quoting. Let's say that their average hourly rate based on $75,000 is $29. It actually has cost them $433 to make $936. So they actually have gained $503 in this type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I want you to consider is, let's shift this a little bit and see what might happen if they stop quoting over the phone. And I know I probably have raised a lot of attention right there, but I can tell you this. When I worked with Cosmo and we moved to San Diego, we changed the structure of our agency considerably. The one thing we did was we ceased quoting over the telephone. We felt that relationship was far more important, and if we would do that, yes, we would have fewer people come in, and you can see here that in this example I indicated 20% of the people who would come in. And we would spend more time with those individuals because we are attempting to develop relationship. So we have 6 people coming in. We have 45 minutes an appointment. It's the same 875 and so on and so forth. Now, the monoline retention rate, 89%. Now, let's see what happens in the bottom line here. First of all, we have reduced the amount of hours that we have spent in quoting from, let's see here, I think I had 15 hours in that last slide down to 4.5 hours.
Wow.
We still have the same. The expense for that appointment now is $130 in comparison to what we had before at, let's see, I think we had, oh gosh, the expense,
I've forgotten it, but
I can't remember it either.
it doesn't make any difference.
We'll see this in just a few minutes here.
Yeah, okay.
The bottom line is that we have a time investment here of $338, but we have saved 10.5 hours. So we have to factor in that time savings as well. So our return on investment is $641.
Mm-hmm.
Our premium, you're going to say, well, you know what, we didn't really gain that much in premium. No, we didn't. But what if we make a change in the whole way we do our business to now, since we have stopped quoting, consider doing something proactive in building relationship with that time frame. In this example, what we're doing is we're going to be proactively building awareness with what I'm going to call an ideal client. I'm going to share that in just a minute, but this ideal client is right where the agency sweet spot is, where you know your greatest profit is, and you know also that if you connect with these people, they're going to stay with you. Okay, so in this example, again, these numbers are all following forward. We have 3 opportunities to talk with people. We are spending about 60 minutes for this particular account, but now we are developing the account and our commission is higher, our premium is higher, more importantly, our retention rate is higher. So what does this do in impacting the bottom line? You can see here that we now are only devoting 3 hours to the appointment process.
Mm-hmm.
It's only costing us $87 now for that appointment, and by the time we factor in the time saved and the return on the investment, we are now gaining $764 in the return on investment. We have $3,375 in written premium. Now, people are saying, oh, wow, well, that still really is not giving me what I need to make a living. Well, let's take a look at the last slide. In this particular situation, we're saying let's take all of that time that we are saving through all of these different processes and really develop relationship with our ideal client. Let's round out those accounts. Let's develop advocates out of those people, and now let's get referrals. So let's take a look at these numbers. We have a higher retention rate. We have a higher commission. Coming down to the bottom, we actually now are spending 12 hours, but those 12 hours are now netting $18,900 in written premium. And by the time you factor down through all of these factors, our written premium is $18,900, and we have a return on investment of $3,236. Now let's take a look at all this together, and I don't know whether or not you're going to be able to see this well. But when I created this, I actually created it such that you put in numbers in your first approach, the way that you're operating right now, and it automatically takes you through all 4 approaches so you can visibly see the difference. And while you may say, well, it doesn't really show us that much of a difference initially, no, it's not going to initially. But what we will do is we're going to be developing the demographic of the agency that you truly know is going to be your most profitable type of client to keep and to continue to pursue. So that's what I really want people to see from this particular presentation.
It's fascinating. I've never seen anybody do this. This is really interesting.
Well, to my knowledge, I don't think anybody has. At least I have not seen it. And I really was just playing around with some numbers, and it kind of struck me as something, that needs to be shown.
I think very few agencies really recognize the cost of quoting, and they never really get down to that.
I would absolutely agree with you. I would absolutely agree with you. And the one thing, I guess, the takeaway from this is that I want everybody to realize that every potential prospect that they are trying to acquire has a cost associated with it. There's a time factor involved with it. There is a resource involved with it, times that your staff touch it, and so forth. And so what is really very important is that you use these tangible costs towards the most effective focus, if you will. And I believe that that is truly in identifying your ideal client. When you have that person in mind, when you know the type of individual that you want to get referrals from, and you invest the time to develop that relationship with them to get referrals, it truly is going to be what I'm going to call the sweet spot, and it's where you're going to make your greatest profit, as well as invest the least amount of time.
How does the agent figure out who is their ideal client?
Well, let me just say to you that there are some ways that they can do that. First of all, the best way for them to consider this is take a look at their existing book of business. And they can actually have an opportunity. It does take some time because this is not something that people typically have any automation for. But if they look at who is within their agency their most profitable, not their largest premium, but the most profitable. And the most profitable is not just going to be the fact that they've got 3 cars and a home and so forth, but how easy are they to do business with? How quickly do they pay? Do you have to continue to rewrite them because they cancel all the time? Are they individuals that the agent themselves have similar interests in? Do they have the influence, if you will, that will allow for the referrals? Do they want to connect with you? Who is your competitor going after? And I guess probably the best thing to do is to take a look at where the strength in your agency is and to determine who is going to be the best type of client to focus within that strength.
Mm-hmm. So
if I want to take a look at building my business in the most ideal client, let's just say for the sake, I'm going to call these people our VIP. The VIPs are going to allow you to build relationship because, quite frankly, they desire something more than just price. I can tell you from my own experience, I've had State Farm ever since I had my first car back in 1971, and I don't think I would change. And the reason that I would not change is because the agencies that I have had along the way have invested time to get to know who I am, what I want, what I hope to accomplish, and they reach out and they touch me. And so therefore, price is not an issue to me. These people will also allow you to truly connect with them, just like what I said. You're going to find out who they are, what's important to them, what are their goals, what are their values, what things do you share that are in common. These are the people that will truly allow you to be an insurance advisor because they're going to come to you for that advice. They're going to come to you to say, you know, I'm considering this or that. What would you recommend? These are the individuals that feel comfortable placing their protection needs in your hands, knowing that you're going to communicate any problem that they may have that could potentially create a hazard for them. They want peace of mind, and they want that much more than price. And so I am going to be a strong advocate of this simply because of the ease of this client to do business with, the confidence that they convey to you, and the referrals.
When you started out, you said there were 2 major mistakes that agents are making in that? What are they?
Well, the first mistake is quoting over the telephone. I am an advocate to take that time and transfer it into something that is proactive to build a relationship, but not just to throw everything against the wall to see what sticks. Really hone in on what it is that they perceive to be their ideal client. Now, if it's important that you focus on new client acquisition, which it is, I'm not going to tell you that it's not, let's shift your pipeline so 80% of your business is being generated within this ideal client profile. But more importantly, shift internally so you can continue to build the success relationship within your own book. And you may not like to hear this, get rid of that lower 10% that is costing you and your staff the headache, the problems in lapse the problems with claims, whatever it is. If you can clean out that lower 10%, you can have the ability to really invest the time in what you need to move forward.
Deborah, this has been really, I mean, I know it's basic as anything, and probably some agents are sitting back there saying, how basic can that get? But it's gut-level stuff that people really have to face now with commoditization, the Geicos of the world, and everything else that's happening to us. And I know that you're going to be very, very involved with that, and I'm going to be involved with you on it. I mean, I wanted to tell everybody that I'm not trying to hide anything, that I'll be working with Deborah very, very closely on her insurance needs analysis program, which is really, really phenomenal. You talk about, you can identify who the proper clients are, and your ideal clients. So these are just some of the things that you'll do, right?
Absolutely. What we hope to have is a completely turnkey method of insulating your clients, developing client loyalty, developing client referral, and really changing the way in which the personal lines book impacts your profitability.
Well, thank you, Deborah. This has been really, really good. Let's see how they can contact you right there. There's the phone number. She's on that number all the time. Or there's her email address. Please feel free to give Deborah a call if you have any kind of input or anything else on on what she said here. And then we'll in future Monday mornings we'll talk more about some of those things that she just outlined that are going to be very, very important to your new look. And I think it has got to be a new look, a new way of doing personal lines. And I suspect many of you out there are now are paying attention, and you're talking to the professional right there. Deborah Miller-Pfahler is the one. So, Deborah, thank you again. And then just one more last note to everybody to remind you to go back to the email address. Your email that came with the Monday morning. Look for your E&O tip of the week, and also look for the quiz flash there from the Insurance Community Center. It's always good. And in the meantime, I'll look forward to seeing you next Monday morning.